So ladies and gentlemen, today is about revealing the truth. Just like some people might think that I was faking my eye, and suddenly now that I put my prosthetic eye, they're like, hey, it kind of looks real. Did you try to get empathy by glazing maybe your eye? Yeah, I can get people might think that. Here's the proof. I got two more. The other one I lost. And here I removed the extra one. It's a simple thing. I can just open my eye. Wee. It doesn't exist. So now that you know the truth, let's delve into these people trying to challenge the narrative of why a relationship should be a specific way, because we were designed this way, like God meant it. So this video is about the podcast where we have a Christian man and a non-Christian man are going to talk about the definition or the reason and how a relation is supposed to be officially. And this other person, they do have a child, they are married, everything is all Gucci, but they make movies. Ooh, oh yeah, go in there.
Like the argument against people engaging in sort of non-traditional relationships is kind of weak if you have to instantly pivot into like, well, what about the kids?
Yeah, I think there's a design of how we were created to function.
Yep.
In a one man, one woman covenantal arrangement. Now, I think everything outside of that is unhelpful, and I think there is something wrong with. I think porn is a total net negative to society. I'm not sure how many of you guys is like fans that watch you regularly, you've met in person, and how this affects them. But I mean, Andrew Huberman did a whole long thing about what happens when someone consumes. They open up a feedback loop that's intended to be consumed with someone else. So I think it's very hard to make the argument that is helping people as much as it's harming people. It's keeping a lot of these guys regressed. It's keeping, I mean, the incel community, the red pill stuff. A lot of the people that rail against you guys probably secretly go and watch this stuff, which is a really bizarre thing. We see with the fresh and fit girls. So I don't know if, as a net positive, this is something, remove the kids. Like, this is something that you think is actually adding to human flourishing.
If men don't have a reason to go out there to get the things that we usually cherish at a different level, you're going to have a lot of men that don't even have a purpose, and you will have also a lot of men that see women in a totally different lens. Totally different, because that's the only way they're already interacting with the person without interacting with the person in real life. Certain people have been telling me, well, if they don't have that, they're going to find it in real life outside and they're going to pay for money. And that's actually good, because the fact that you pay for money, you can get something, because if you don't get it with money, you will get it by force. And I'm like, really? I would say raising the bar, putting less access to it, might make men even work even harder to have a better society. But people say that is a bad thing. Fucking children! And that's what they're advocating, because they believe families and those lifestyle is so constricting. I know some family have done some very bad job at that. I'm not gonna deny that. But the idea that you just focus on that, I'm like, that message psy-opt you to go in a different direction, but you are failing people by noticing the mistakes in your own life because you enjoy this way more. They always take the negative thing to justify something good in their life, as if everybody has a chance to live just like me. Amen. I have a family. It's hard work. It's consistent work. When I tell people what I do, they think it's slavery. I'm like, bruh, that's what everybody did for you back in the day. I'm not advocating that you need to have a family. You can do whatever you want. Oh no, you had a bad example. Well, guess what? I'm going to lower my bar instead of trying to do it better.
Everyone tries to always focus on like the extreme watcher, but I think that there's like very healthy consumers, which are probably the majority with consumption.
How can we focus on the extreme when you're lowering the bar and give a lot more access to the middle ground? Your middle ground, open relationship.
And like, I don't think that like women consume too, and I don't think they're sitting around all day just to, I mean, we both consume it at a very moderate level. I don't know.
You guys create it, so it's a bit different.
Why we feel comfortable doing it again, even after having been so massively in the news over the past couple of months. You know?
Adam, you don't see the increase in opening a relationship up to risk, though. We're just giving you statistics. 90% of relationships, you guys are functionally in a non-monogamous relationship, even though privately you may not be.
First of all, she wanted to try a black man, and she had a very big black man. Fuck this. Because they make already movies, which is a podcast they have with people, and they do the funky stuff, but only with ladies. Okay, so that's why they got into the news. And second, 90% of monogamous relationships don't work. The fact that you're promoting something that is working is already interesting when 90% is not working, especially when you are making millions of dollars because you guys kinda agree for the future of your child. You guys have a brand and a mission to provide something that is totally different. So the fact you're like, you know what, this is the new type of relationship in 2023 is a little disingenuous.
It seems like you guys have something special, and it seems like you guys have a child and a beautiful family. You decided to get married. You decided to say the vows. And it seems like there's this roaring going on inside of you guys where you have certain values and you have certain things that you want for your kids in this unit, yet at the same time, I'm just perplexed by the motivation.
I don't see those things to be contradictory, that we want to have a great life for our kids and stuff, and then we also are willing to, you know, do
I'm talking about
experimental
for your
things.
own union. Like it seems like this increases the likelihood of this potentially ending, which I don't want for you guys.
We've never really discussed it in those terms. I don't think of it that way, and I think if anything, it kind of made our sex life a little bit more exciting for a period of time. Just the fact that I had a little bit of competition, a little bit more of a...
And I kind of understand that point. Sometimes you need to find a reason that your couple will try to push you to be a better person. I'm not saying that is wrong, but I will not tell my wife to get a gun because I want a gun, and I will defend myself better. And now she's like, you know what? I'll show you how you have to defend yourself even better, and she will do something even with more force. Because I'm like, maybe one day she will get hurt. And maybe then she's like, I'm trying to be better than you because you're putting me in that position to be better than you.
I begged them to stop, but they just wouldn't.
I don't want my wife to think like that. I don't want a 50-50 relationship and build something and make millions. I want a 50 multiply 50 because we're building something together to a utopia that is going to give my son a tree that I planted, and they will enjoy the shadow in the future, so they might have a peace start and advantage and not make irrational decisions to make money. That is the thing that I think is very good for any child. A lot of people tell me, man, you are a good father. What are you doing? This.
Why are you running?
Oh my God, how do you live? Do you enjoy it? Of course. You live the single life. You don't want pressure. You don't want purpose. You want human right from the government. I do all this stuff on my own, but they don't see it.
Amazing. Get ready, people.
Family is hard work, consistent work. Some childs don't even spend a lot of time with their parents talking. I have people tell me, the first time I really talked with my parents, I was 16 years old. And now you are advocating that, hey man, if you tell a kid no, they will do it anyway. I'm like, bruh. You don't even understand how a person has to be in the life of a kid consistently. There is a beautiful respect that you never experience. And the only way you can justify it because you missed it, it's slavery?
There's a freedom inside of a covenantal relationship to try things and to explore and to do things that if you're out here and you're raw dogging it, you don't know who has what and all the stipulations that go into that life, there's a freedom you have, there's a protection you have, there's a trust that you have in a relationship where it's just you and the other person.
And that's why I do think that the sexual revolution has overall been probably negative for most women, because the truth is that as a man, you can have sex with any woman and, you know, bust it in 5-10 minutes and you're good. You just had a good time. Whereas for a woman, realistically, the first time you have sex with a guy, you have like an infinitesimal percentage chance that you're going to, and you're realistically only going to end up having positive experiences by sleeping with the same guy over and over and really learning how to connect with him.
It's called marriage.
Totally.
That's the beauty
And
of a
I get
marriage.
that. I also just think women, you know, should feel free to do what they want to do. But I also, in terms of what I would tell, you know, any woman in my life, what I would recommend for them, I would say, you know, hold your in high esteem.
I don't understand when somebody admits, amen, certain women that stay with the same person have a higher chance to be happy, but you still advocate, well, I know certain people that felt very trapped, so let's go look in the other way.
That is blasphemous.
I'm not saying you can't explore, but statistically speaking, what you're advocating for is not for the best. But maybe certain people just speak to you in certain way because they know you approve of the methods and you make them feel good. And that is good for you. But don't go and preach it as if it's the best.
Look at me.
Look at me! There's like a girl that says, I don't want to have a baby because it's a bad thing. And I'm like, wait, Do you have friends that have a baby? No. Then I'm like, why are you talking and Googling stuff that you hate?
If my daughter was like, wanted to explore her, like, I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I don't think that's unethical.
But you
know?
you guys just both acknowledge you wouldn't want your daughter to do that.
It wouldn't be
It's
my
not my first
ideal
choice,
thing.
but
So
it's
isn't that a
also-
bit inconsistent, though, that creates something that you wouldn't want your offspring? Like, we want our kids to be better than us, so why would you want them to do that? Like, if they're
Well,
aspiring for you
I
to.
feel like what I'm doing allows my daughter to have a better life. Like, I am able to, we're going to be able to like put her through private school because I have the life that I have now. Like, I wouldn't have been able to give her that without that.
I think a lot of people don't even understand that. A lot of kids don't even understand the value of money. They actually understand more the value of what their parents is doing consistently with them. And many childs create a better bond with the people that are taking care of them when the parents is going to do work to make that money. What do you think is more important? Certain people value money, and I'm not saying that money is bad, but they value money so much that I'm perplexed when they receive a negative thing. They're like, well, we can just pay for something and it will get it solved. Nah, bro. That's why you have a lot of people with mental health situation.
Dad was a social worker, and for sure he wanted me to be something bigger and better than a social worker. You know, it's
Yeah.
like you always want your kid to do
True.
better than you would
Of
want
course.
to do. You know, I would love
But
if
if-
my daughter was, you know, some famed, artist or something. That would be amazing. Do I necessarily think that that's in the cards? I mean, that's kind of a roll of the dice. You never know what your kid's going to get
How
into.
much
But
is
if
it?
you
How much
don't-
is
yeah.
enough? Like, financially, like, at what point does it just like?
That is something that people keep bringing up. They already have millions. They still decided to add men into the relationship, even if you think it's unfair that only the guy was having funky with the ladies and she was not having any with any man. So it was more like one man, 3 women. So I think it's kind of unfair. But I just find it weird that you don't need the money and you justify, hey, if you do that, the news and everything or podcast is going to be booming. Yeah, but you already have millions. So for me, it comes off like I value money maybe even more than us, because without it, we don't have anything.
I feel like you guys intrinsically know this isn't helpful.
No, I think it's as long as you're having fun. Like
Yeah.
whenever we go and
But
do
is there a
porn in
dollar
a day,
amount?
it's like
No, it's not a dollar
it's
amount.
basically just like it's fun. Like I look at my calendar and we're hooking up with a couple of chicks that day, and I'm like, oh wow, what a great Wednesday. Very profitable. And
Wow.
It doesn't feel good anymore. Like,
Yeah.
there are
I
times
mean,
when
meth feels good.
like sometimes we have more on camera than we do off camera, and those weeks I don't feel like as connected to him. I'm like, wow, we've just been working so much. Like, I don't feel like we've been fostering our relationship. And in those weeks, if like we didn't take that break and that pause and talk about it and reconnect, then I could see myself being like, I don't want to do this anymore because it's interfering with our relationship.
and it does feel good, but the downside of meth is much worse.
You know,
Do you think there's any
Having
down-
actually done it, it's not that great. Whereas the downside of having, with some girl on camera is that at the end of the money, you get a bunch of money in the mail. So to me,
In the
it's
interim,
very different.
you
I
guys
don't
don't
know.
know potential consequences down the road.
I mean, we've been doing it for a long time, and I wouldn't really say that we've encountered many negative consequences from it. Just
All I can say is that I don't understand that, but the way they say there's something, they have so much work and they feel disconnected. I'm like, I don't want to be half funky because it's fun with another person, and then when I meet my wife, it's like an exam. I need to find a way to connect with her. What did he do to you? And they are having a lot of funky in front of each other and know that about each other because they're doing it together. And she's never getting an extra man. So it's like, it's unfair, weird. I don't know, man. This is weird.
Said was this beautiful picture of this acceptance in a marriage, and also desiring to take care of yourself for your partner, to serve your partner, right?
yeah.
And I've been with my wife 15 years. We've both been overweight.
20.
I've been obese.
Me too.
She's had kids. We're in better shape now. We're lean. It's something that's a value of ours. My question would just simply be, it seems like we've all tried all of these things. We've tried all of these ideologies and all these puzzles that we have to piece together. Have you guys ever genuinely considered like trying Jesus, repenting of your sin, and really applying God's wisdom
Yeah, Adam.
for your life?
Personally, I've done quite a bit of research and digging and trying to convince myself that Jesus was a real person or that I should be invested in his teachings. Haven't really been too convinced, so I'm still kind of waiting to be convinced that this is something I should put my energy into. The vast majority of thinkers that I respect or read or listen to are atheists. So for me personally, it's not really an issue. Like there's just not enough evidence to me that there's anything of value to offer from Christianity. It's like realistically, probably the best thing that you could do is like fall in love, get into a relationship with a girl, get married, split your expenses, have a family, etc. once you feel comfortable financially. But like, you know, we just live in a society where we're constantly surrounded by people who are putting on examples of doing the other thing, which is basically like mindlessly chasing and you know, highs and money or whatever for your whole life. And that is kind of like a weird thing that the manosphere has to sort of reckon with, which is that somebody like Andrew Tate being like at the forefront of the manosphere now, it's like you can't really necessarily just be pushing an agenda of like, yo, as many girls as possible, because Andrew Tate is out here saying like, no, that is not going to make you happy in the long run. And anyone who's really being honest with you is going to let you know that's not going to make you happy in the long run.
That was very profound. And I think what we're saying is, statistically speaking, the majority of men and women will have kids. What is the optimal way to build a family? If we're talking about dating, we're talking about relationships, what is the optimal way to cause the most amount of flourishing to the most amount of people? And what has worked through and through all these civilizations? I think that's the crux of what we're getting. What you're saying is totally spot on. And it's not red pill, blue pill to me. There's a lot of goofy things from both sides, a lot of nonsense being pushed. But if we're talking about the optimal flourishing environments, because we're all going to eventually have kids, majority of us anyway.
Any person that has a lot of funky that I've met in my life with time will tell you it's soulless, it's meaningless, it's like just going to the same restaurant over and over, eating a buffet, free buffet.
It's better to die of free candy than to live in bondage.
And you just get tired, because there's a certain beauty of the thing that people made for you when you were a child with love, that when they make it again, it has a memory and a feeling. And that's the same thing when you have your partner that is a booming relationship, marriage, and you're going forward, because I feel like I'm on a mission to keep this person happy. And even if I'm tired, I'm like, I feel satisfied. And I can't get that with money. It's different. It's like cooking a meal for somebody and they're happy. Now I understand why people feel so offended when they do it, because they actually care about you. And a lot of people don't understand that. You can't come home and put a meal in a microwave and give it to somebody and be like, hey, I need to be super happy. No, I'm not saying you can't, but it's different. And you don't even have to mention God. They will be like, you are different. And I think a child needs that too. And I don't think that lifestyle that Adam is promoting, that I need to be able to buy anything for my child, this is the way they're going to be like, hey man, once I'm in front of God, I can at least tell them, even if I didn't believe you, I did my best. That is what I'm trying to point out. But other than that, let me know what you guys think about monogamous relationship and Christianity. Be honest, middle ground, challenge the thing, but
you have made a fatal error in judgment.
It is what it is. Like, share, hit the bell notification, and see you guys in the next one. Peace.